Hello, everyone. Welcome to We the People, a podcast dedicated to all things anime, from the perspectives of an advanced viewer, casual, and beginner. I'm your host that doesn't play League with the lock screen, Daniel.
Lock screen master race. My name is Malcolm. I'm going to climb the plat that way. You have nothing you can do to stop me.
Jake, this dude plays League with the lock screen.
Horrified.
Yes.
You both have fucking problems.
No, I don't.
Oh, that's right. No. Malcolm has both of them because he doesn't buy pink wards as well.
I've changed. I've grown. That's not a problem anymore. Lock screen is where it's at.
All right. Hey, so my name's Jake. I'm also a member of this podcast, and yeah, I'm horrified to learn that you play with the lock screen, Malcolm.
I don't play champions with global ultimate, so it's not a fucking problem.
I guess. It's wowzers.
Yeah. So
you can fake the lock screen by hitting spacebar, Malcolm. You can just hold it down, and it's permanent lock screen. I'm
playing with a handicap, and I'm the same rank as you people. So who sucks more in this game?
You're silver 2, okay? Talk to me when you're silver 1. All right.
I'll text you next weekend.
In today's episode, we'll be reviewing and discussing Tower of God. If you have not watched the series, then spoilers ahead. If Tower of God is not to your liking, our next broad discussion will be next week, with our next watch in 2 weeks. If you guys have any suggestions on what y'all would want to see, please feel free to DM us on any of our social medias. With that, let's dive into the background of Tower of God. So, Tower of God originally started as a web manhwa written and illustrated by SIU, and has been serialized on Webtoon since 2010. It has now become an anime directed by Takashi Sano and animated by Telecom Animation Film. And the story follows protagonist Bam as he enters what's called the Tower in order to follow and find his friend Rachel. So it just finished airing this past spring anime season 2020. We are currently in summer anime 2020, so it's still pretty recent, pretty fresh. So really good. It's one of the first of 3 that Crunchyroll is going to do. If you're more interested on what like other webtoons Crunchyroll's doing or Crunchyroll originals, go check out our Senpai Suggest. Was it Senpai Suggest? No, it was the the episode before that.
87.
87, not 87.5, but 87.
All right.
Where we go and talk more about that in depth. But yeah, for now, let's dive in. So first off, the opening for Tower of God slaps. Like, holy moly, I'm in love with that opening. I think it's so well done. The music's amazing. I think it's an interesting kind of, not a lot going on in the opening, animation wise, but oh man, I think it sets up the mood and the scene very well. So yeah, the opening I didn't skip once. I
didn't really like the opening because, like you said, there's not a lot going on, and then episode 1 was kind of just slow as hell. So I was like, I don't know if this show's gonna be good, but I'm really glad I stuck around.
That's fair, because me, like a lot of the shows that I watch, especially nowadays, I figure out about them or I hear about them because I listen to the opening on YouTube because I'm like working out or something, and then I listen to the opening. I'm like, yo, that shit slaps.
YouTube.
So then I'll watch it.
The algorithms are working, so
they got me.
Congrats.
Yeah, they got me. But yeah, no, and I think that carries on with the entire background music, the OST as a whole for this show. I think it does a very well job of setting up the tone and the mood of the environment that Baum and his friends find themselves in while they're in the tower, whether it be a more mystical kind of feel, a more mysterious kind of feel, action-packed sequence, what have you. I think the OST is incredibly well done. So props to them for doing that. So the art style of this show, I really like. At first, I was kind of put off by it. I think it was this weird. I don't know if it was a cell shading kind of thing, but I felt like it was like a layer of some sort of animation or a coloring or drawing or something was lacking. But then that kind of unique style grew on me. I don't know if you all had the same feel or it or.
Yeah, it was flat colors, like a 90s anime sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of the color scheme on the show. It definitely feels different. There's not as good of shading and playing with light sources as you would see on a I don't want to say higher production because it's just a different style.
Right.
But something like Your Lie in April, where they're heavy emphasis on good shadowing techniques and
right.
There's depth to it. But I actually really like the flat style. Growing up watching things like Pokemon, I really enjoyed the kind of that flat color layout. It keeps it simple, but it also, I don't know, there's some nostalgia to it. So I don't know why I like it just as much as like.
Yeah, it was cool. Like it grew on
Yeah.
me. I was like, okay, cool. Let's rock with it.
It was not bad. It was not bad at all.
I'm sure if we asked like a 17-year-old who watched the show, they're like, "What the fuck?
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Where's my AAA anime?"
Backed by Sony and Bandai Namco. What the hell? So I think this show does a really freaking good job, and it's only like 13 episodes, right? So it does an amazing job of like setting up the world of Tower of God. And season 1, after doing some more research, is apparently like the prologue of the entire series.
The fuck?
Yeah. It's still ongoing.
It definitely felt like that.
So this is all just like the introduction to the tower. Like we really haven't even gotten that far in. And we'll talk about more about the end stuff and how it
turns
ended.
into like a fucking Kingdom Hearts bullshit thing, I swear. 14 spin-off series, 6 different consoles.
Multiple protagonists,
Ugh.
you know. But I think that this show does a really good job of setting up the world, and its world building is amazing, along with its characterizations. So I think kind of recapping on what we learned so far, there's different entities, if that's what you want to call them, within the tower, right? And let's keep it to just people that are, I guess, climbing the tower or involved with climbing the tower, right? So, like the main cast, you have Bomb's team, which is Bomb, Rock, and Kun, right?
Yep.
And then you have like all the other people who we'll mention later on, just because they have a big impact in the story. But there's Rankers, who apparently have already climbed to the top of the tower, right? So that's like those are like the instructors or like the test administrators, right? Then you have the regulars, who I guess were invited into the tower, right? By what's his name? Head On. Yeah, Head On.
Close.
Head-ass.
Yeah, Head On. So apparently regulars are like, he's like, hey, yo, here's the invitation to Smash, and they're like, hey, what's good?
Stole my joke. Fuck you.
Yeah, get out of here, dude. You
hate it.
You snooze, you lose, bitch.
I was being respectful and letting you go, and I was like, I'm gonna stick in it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fucking do it. Missed out.
And then you have the irregulars, I guess, who I was kind of confused on this. Like they weren't invited, or they because I remember they gave multiple definitions, right? It was like they weren't invited by Head On, and then like they weren't following the rules of the tower. I don't know if that's like what y'all got as well.
Is Bomb the only irregular in the test?
Was it Bomb, and was Rachel one too, or no? Was she invited?
I feel like she got her Smash card.
No, because remember, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but don't they make a scene at the very end where it's like you weren't the one who was invited?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right?
Shit.
So I think both of them are irregulars. I don't think either one was invited. It's so weird. That's why
the difference between the regulars and irregulars is regulars were invited. How do you get the invite again?
I think he literally just shows up at your front door. He's like, "Hey, Lamau, you wanna climb the tower?"
Gotcha. And then the irregulars are people who just like showed up and were like, "I'm gonna do it," and they're like, "Well, apparently, in the bylaws, we can't stop you.
Hey, the key
you are a sovereign citizen.
Works on your front door, so I'm just gonna go in your house.
You're not bound by the laws of the council." So, but yeah, okay. So that's that. Can we talk about? So I think it was not the first test with the eel, right? Not the eel in the ball, but the second test where it's like a free for all battle royale kind of thing.
What's up, Fortnite?
It's basically Fortnite, and there's this dude who has a bow, and he's like, "Oh, okay, bow and arrow, all right, whatever, classic." And then fucking another guy shows up with the sniper.
Yeah,
that scene got me so good. It was just like Hunger Games, and then they were like, "Oh, this guy's a Gatling gun," or like, I don't know.
It's like, your weapon useless. Yeah, that was kind of unfair. But
can you imagine, like, at the beginning you think you know the rules, and like you're getting warmed up for the arena, and you're walking in, you have your bow and your quiver, and people have swords, and this guy just walks up with a sniper rifle, and you're like, no.
You're just like, damn it, dude.
Come on.
But yeah, all right. So irregulars basically don't follow the rules, but moving on with that, uh, when they do the scene where that one instructor, what was that one instructor's name? Um,
The one with the lab coat and the gnarly
yeah. The
blonde hair.
main guy, not the redheaded guy, not the one who's voice acted by Present Mike, not that guy,
Oh yeah.
but the other one. Um, when he does like the whole like wave pushing back thing. So something that's interesting, right? That like that magical source that they call. Um, so this is interesting. So in when they write it, it's written as Shinsu, right? Shinsu. Um, but then when they vocalize it in Japanese, uh, what exactly was the wording? I wrote it down here. Uh, Kami no Mizu. So that mean literally translated would be either. Remember, my Japanese isn't perfect, but it'd be like uh, water of the gods or god of the water. I think it's water of the gods. So then like that's how they vocalize it, and it makes sense because that's what it looks like. It looks like water. So this Shinsu, and then when they I guess when he uses it and he like pushes everybody back, but Bomb, does that mean Bomb is like God tier in this, and he can like manipulate it however he wants? Like I don't really know, right?
It's like a non-Newtonian fluid, doesn't really follow any laws.
Some plasma.
It can't be contained.
It's just cornstarch and water.
Yeah.
No biggie.
But yeah, I think that was really interesting how it's like, oh yeah, this dude's like actually kind of overpowered, but he's not. I think it's just, and I think that scene was mostly just to say like, hey, this guy has a bunch of potential, blah blah blah. But like right now, he's like worthless. I think that's all that is. Kind of diving more into the background, because like I said, I think this was a really great point in the show that they did was the world building. Like, there's so much that was set up in this.
Yep.
In just 13 episodes, mind you, I think it was very well done. They talk about the tower and how it's split up into different sections, I guess, kind of like districts. So there's 3 districts, and I wrote them down. So you have the inner tower, and they said in the show, which can only be climbed by regulars. And as of episode 2, that's where the squad was currently at. The middle area, which I guess connects the two, which the other area being the residential district where like people live. So I guess like the residential district is where everybody usually lives, like the regulars. But then where do the irregulars live? Do they also live in the tower? I think that's what I'm really confused on. It's like irregulars, do they even live within this construct of the tower? Or do they live outside of it?
One critique I was going to have is that I think they did a lot of good things with world building about the rules of the tower and like things that are granted to you as you progress through, and that it gets harder and harder the more you climb. But like, I had no sense of space in this world. That like, is anything exist outside the tower? It seems like it does. But it's just like, it's this weird construct. It wasn't until they were like fighting on the bridge and doing like an actual test with one of the administrators that I even had a sense that they were in a tower. So that would be my critique, is that I didn't really feel like they were progressing through anything. If it was a situation kind of like in Kill la Kill with like the stadium and like everything kind of like tiered up, that would make sense to me. But I can't quite understand this world.
I think
also, boys.
No,
I'm gonna step away for 2 minutes to take my taquitos out of the oven, and you guys keep going. And I believe in you,
baby.
And podcast listeners, get ready for some crunch.
Yeah. I think. Well, now that he's gone, I was going to explain what I thought, but I guess you could just watch it. So yeah. So I think what it is, it's more of like a sort of online Aincrad kind of tower, if you will, where it's like Aincrad. If for those of you who don't know, it's like the fortress that the characters in Sword Art Online have to escape from. But each of the floors in Aincrad is like, there's like 100 floors, but each floor is like environmentally different. So I think that's what this is kind of like the feel that they were going for. So maybe that's kind of what it is. But I do agree with Jake. I think I wish they kind of explained more about what was like possibly going on outside of this tower. And maybe they'll explain it later on, kind of explaining how Bomb and Rachel came from outside the tower, but who knows?
Yeah, and I think to another point, it's like when you think of tower, you think of like a tall,
like a physical
building,
structure tower.
And there's literally no climbing that happens or is shown. So it just seems like we're all stuck on one flat surface, walking from room to room to room to environment, not going up. And who knows, I might not have climbed a single bit, but you don't get that feel.
Mean, yeah, kind of like how the world is flat and like we feel like we're going other places, but you're really not going up or down.
Sorry, my foil hat's over there. I forgot to put it on before.
So what I was saying, Jake, before you left, it's basically, I think it's like a sort of online kind of feel where it's like the word tower is used, but each floor is simulated to be a different environment. So it's not a tower in the sense of what we physically like know and came to associate with, but more of like a tower like, oh, there's different environments that you have to progress through, maybe not vertically, but like in some way you have to progress to get to the very top. So
Okay, I could
maybe what it is.
I could see that. What I think it is, I feel like there is a tower, but yeah, it doesn't, there's not like staircases and you're not progressing through it. There's like segments and slivers, and it doesn't seem to have a concept of space. Like some things seemed really, really large, but like when they're fighting in the darker like spire, that seemed like way narrower of a space.
More small,
yeah. So I don't know if they're transported to different just segments and there's no like continual path up. You're just kind of like hopping around. But I would have really loved to see like a giant like city-wide base, and it just like progressively goes up and you can never see the top and you're hopping all around. But maybe watching the next few seasons is going to illuminate like what actually the tower is. But
yeah, I think they'll explain more about that. But for now, they have it, so all we can do is speculate. But yeah, I think that's really interesting, like how they did that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I know we talked a lot about the world building, but I want to say that the characters themselves, I think the characterization in this show was very well done. Like I said, it was incredible how much they did in just 13 episodes. I think they were able to really flesh out certain characters, just like the main cast. Like, I think later on, there's like a friends list that they do, basically like a Facebook or what was it, MySpace top 8?
Yeah.
That they did. But like out of those top 8, they really, or top 10 in this case, right? They really like expanded upon it. They really expanded upon, okay, this is like the friends list, and these are the people that are like that vibe together. And I think like the way I feel like I'm just constantly saying the same thing, but it's just, I think it was so well done, because you have Bomb, you have Kun, you have Rock, you have even Rachel's squad, minus like Rachel's bodyguard that they explained later on, like towards the very end of the season. So you have Rachel, her bodyguard,
the Princess of Jihad.
What was her name? The other chick in that group?
Megan. No, not even close. I have
Indorsey. I have it here. Yeah. Damn it. Thank you, Past Daniel, for writing all this stuff down. Man, there's some times where like, because I think as of this recording, like when I finished this was maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago that I've already finished this show. So it's been a while. Yeah, so like, and then you have Anak and her group. And I think it's just being able to flesh out these characters within a short amount of time, but still giving them enough time to develop, and we as an audience to be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's their person, that's their personality, that's how they work all the time. And when they throw them in a new situation or give them a spotlight, you can be like, oh yeah, that's how they're going to react. Or I think this is like a really cool interaction of characters rather than just always focusing on Bomb and his squad, right? So I think that was very well done in how they handled that.
Yeah, one of our critiques on most of the anime that we watch is sometimes they put too many characters and you kind of lose track. But I think with this show, if they took out any one specific character, you would have lost a certain feel to the show, if that makes sense.
And I like it how, it starts off, and I don't know, hopefully this plays into effect later on in later seasons. But, they have this mentality of when they first start the tower, they're like, oh no, everybody's your enemy. You're the one that's climbing. You're going to have to beat everybody else. You're going to have to step on people's hopes and dreams. But then, like, as they're going through the trials, it's more like, no, like, we want you all to be grouped up together and build these relationships and go through the tower together. But then when you learn about the rankers, they weren't grouped up together, like, at least what we know of, right? We only see, like, 1 or 2 rankers, and they weren't in the same group. So then it leads you to believe, I wonder if something happens at the very end where it's like, yeah, like you do all these trials together, you do all this bullshit together, and then at the very end it's like, oh yeah, no, the final test is like you have to kill your friends. Whoever lives gets to like win.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some kind of like moral dilemma twist there, because it seems like all of the rankers know each other, but they all don't like each other. And I think it's like maybe the different classes, like some of the rankers maybe came up through the trial, and other rankers at the time were administering their tests, and like maybe they killed one of their friends, like maybe something crazy happens. And we don't really know yet, but it seems like not many people ever make it to the top, and that it's extremely difficult to like push yourself up through there. Like, one, you have to have this ability, right? Like you actually have to be able to get through. And then I think, like you've alluded to, Daniel, in some of your notes, like the game's rigged. Like some of it's just straight up rigged. Like they're pushing through certain people. Like the princesses have a much better chance of getting through these trials. And some of them are rankers, right? Like they've already made it through, or
no? None of them are. Yeah, the only one. What was her name?
Was the girl at the very beginning, right?
The girl at the very beginning with the red hair or the red eyes and black hair.
Had all the swords.
Yeah, she was the only one who like had already done it.
Gotcha. Okay, so not most of them, but some of them.
Right, because like she doesn't really want to go through the tower. It's just she's trying to get. I think her goal, if I remember correctly, is to get all the swords back.
Yeah, she's a completionist.
Yeah, basically,
this is her
100%.
second playthrough.
Yeah, her second playthrough. What's it called? It's like, is it on Fire Emblem? It's not Lunatic.
It's New Game Plus.
New Game Plus, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking bullshit, bro.
Absolute garbage.
I have a sad story related to that. Yeah, not Fire Emblem, but Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. I used to play that on the Game Boy. I lost or tossed a essential quest item, and some structure in the game does not let you get it back. So I literally can't complete all the 300 quests that I need to get a certain character. Like it's just locked out. Ooh. And I got that, and I was like 100 and something hours into the game, and I was like, nah, I'm done.
You're just done. Yeah, at that point you're like, I'm never playing this ever again. I could not do that.
Couldn't do it. So she's the completionist. The other princesses are trying to climb. They have to give up a lot of their freedom in their life to do that.
Right.
Yep.
Can't have children.
Yep. And that's where that's where that one girl breaks all the rules and has her little pterodactyl kid, velociraptor, dinosaur
looking lizard
could have picked
kid.
Any dinosaur, and you're like, let me think of the long, skinny one with wings. Ah, shit, she doesn't have wings. Let's
shit, it's not a pterodactyl, is it, huh? More like Ducky, if you guys remember Land Before Time.
Dude, 100%.
What were the leaves that they always ate?
Tree stars.
Yeah.
Tree stars.
gotta get some tree stars.
Knock a tree star, I swear to God, she won't need that sword ever again.
That's so dumb.
Can we talk about how LaRoe is like my favorite character? I love his energy. LaRue.
Tracksuit guy?
Who's that, bro?
Fuck. How do you pronounce this name?
But who? Describe them.
The only one that sits in the fucking like blanket and pillow and just sleeps all the time.
Yeah. LaRoe, okay, now
yes.
I know.
All right,
like I said, it's already been like a month since I've watched
it.
So
yeah. Normally I'm the one whom like, what's that head ass's name? And you guys are like, Steve, idiot.
Nani?
I threw out one of the most memorable characters.
He was awesome, bro.
I loved the fact that it's like, he made so like the whole thing is he gets magic by making a pact and sleeping all the time. Like he basically trades his consciousness for more power when he needs it. It sounds like.
Yeah, I loved his concept. I even wrote it here. I was like, I loved his concept as a character. Like being able to dodge attacks and then like fucking blast magical spells.
Yeah, he was like flying around like an egg roll during the trials. Just like, I love it. he's kind of like the same level of hero as Moomin Rider in my mind, where it's just
Pretty
a
good.
ridiculous premise, but I love it.
But he's
I
not
love
Yeah.
worthless. He could murder anyone. A blink of an eye.
Yo, can we talk about, speaking of characters, can we talk about that one guy who has the fucking badass music, like his own soundtrack, his awesome sequences, and he's like, oh yeah, time to get ready for my super infernal punch, and then he gets cut off midstream, and then he, like, the next, like, frame is him just, like, on the floor, like, his ass beat completely.
I
And
don't
it's happened to him
remember this
multiple
guy.
times, too. I love that gag. It's a good one. Kind of going back to the whole, like, building up a group thing. Once again, they do this kind of like RPG level of team compositions.
Yeah, everyone has a class.
Yeah,
And a
everyone basically
role.
like steps into class. You have the spear bearer, which is control and kill enemies from a distance. I wrote all this down.
Sniper
light-
boy.
Yeah, you have light bearers, which I guess they illuminate the dark tower with their lighthouse and gather and distribute information about the situation. So those are the ones that I think Kuhn's a light bearer. They go up into the random cube, right?
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh yeah, here's all the information, blah 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 blah.
Straight up hacker
They're
mode.
they're the logistician, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Then you have. Oh wait, where's? Did I not write about that?
The fisherman.
Yeah, where's fishermen? I
Yeah,
guess
I see-
fishermen were like your close combat specialists or whatever. They're the ones on the front lines all the time. You have the scouts investigate their enemies' movements on the front lines and assist the fishermen, and then you have the wave controllers. So they're like your magicians, I guess. They directors of the battle who provide support and control in combat using Shinsu.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
So that was really
Learn how to do wave manipulation. It's very
Yeah.
important when they want to climb.
yeah.
Always gotta hit
using
the
it
cannon
properly.
minions last hit all the time.
You don't even know how to last hit, bro. You play support.
Hey, put me on Ash. Put me on Ash. Watch me kick ass. Two games.
Now watch
games.
every single game now that he's supporting you with Alistar. He's gonna like knock
gonna
up
take
and
all my
steal
last
the
hits.
canyon.
Every
I
single
love
one
it.
of them.
The
Prove a
cannon,
point.
he's just gonna knock it back using, what is it, Alistar? Is it E? Or is it
W.
W?
That's W.
W? Yeah.
Pathetic.
Oh, man. But moving on from League, right?
Can you imagine how Goblin Slayer would be if like this RPG setup was how they used to kill goblins?
Like, super structured, super... I mean,
Yeah.
like,
I would've
it's like the
loved
last
it.
episode.
it's implied in the Goblin Slayer universe, but it's not... I love it when they, like, break it down. I think it's really...
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for that. But yeah, moving on, since we're moving further on the show, the characters that I was talking about in the top 10 from what was his name? Was it Shibisu? Because it was his like quest or the goal that they gave him to make the friends list, right?
Yes.
That was his name. The guy that's like basically just Subaru, and he got isekai'd here because he's in a tracksuit.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh man, I love that guy. He's so charismatic. He just like carries his way through all of his incompetence. I love it. Very
So,
funny character.
With his friends list makes like the main cast. You have Shibisu, you have Kun, Leroux, Anak, then you have Hots. I think Hots. Which one was Hots? I don't fucking
He's
remember.
the guy
Anyway,
that got like murked, right? Straight up murdered.
was he or was that Ho?
Hot hole.
We'll figure it out
I
in a
don't
little bit.
fucking know.
Bomb, Ho, Serena, Endorsey, and Rock. Those were the 10 that were like the grouped up. Hots is the edgy 3 me swordsman dude.
Ah,
That's right.
gotcha.
Right.
The dual sword
Yeah,
samurai.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's the 3 me. And then Ho is one who was super jealous of Bomb. Because he was like, you have all this freaking magical gift. You're so gifted and talented.
Yeah, he's
And I
the
have
one with the
nothing.
horn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So yeah, out of those 10, it was like that's how they made the friends. But then literally it was interesting because they mentioned that list and they talked about how close they were. They made like the panoramic scene with all of them eating lunch together at the cafeteria, and then literally like
Coon
at the end
strategy.
of the episode, literally at the end of the episode, Ho was like, "Hey yo, Lil Mamas, I'm gonna stab you right now," and he was gonna stab Rachel. So yeah, yikes.
If
Let's
if I can't climb the tower, you won't.
No one
Exactly.
can. If I can't climb to gold, no one can.
No.
Heart stuck
Runs it down
silver.
mid.
Every Every heart stuck silver. Oh
Dude,
god,
as
too many
Yato
parallels.
Yeah.
As Yato gets his 0-10 power spike. I guess moving on to the final thing, we've talked about the characters, we talked about the world building. Obviously, like the big thing at the very end was Rachel's betrayal.
Yeah,
And her
did
whole
not see
reason.
that coming.
I think it was so well done. I think you could see it here and there because you would think like, yo, they were apparently best friends, quote unquote, and then she doesn't even want to like hang out with him, talk to him. She just dipped. I think that was the biggest indicator was the fact that she just dipped without really saying anything.
Did you
she
see it
had-
coming?
Me, not real. I mean, like, not really.
I didn't understand their relationship past like the beginning. Like it seemed so distant and weird. But I thought
It was
she was staying
one-sided.
away from him to protect him. But it
And
didn't
see,
seem like that.
they mentioned that early on. I think that's what they were supposed to like. You're supposed to get baited by that, like, oh
Yep.
yeah, she's doing it for some noble reason, and she can't hang out with him or whatever. No, it turns out she's just really selfish for some like super obscure surface
She wants
level
to see the
dream.
stars.
That's literally it. So I'm like, bro, I don't know. But I think it was super well done how they did it in episode 12. How Bomb and Rachel are like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, literally. And then Bomb's like, oh, we're going to make it. We're going to pass the test together. And Rachel's like, together? You mean me? Boom, pushes.
If you love me, let me go.
And the way they did that sequence with the rolling the end credits and Bomb just sinking into the ocean, I think that was super well done. And can I say that during episode 13, when they're talking about like Rachel's like motivations and where she was all this time, I think it was towards the end of the episode, or maybe middle towards the end. Kuhn's talking to Rachel, and he's like, I really wish that I had met Bomb first before you did, because you're a piece of shit. And then Rachel's just like,
I'll climb the tower.
yep.
See this?
And I was like,
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
hate the game. Yeah. And I was like, damn. And then now I think Rock was like, we can fulfill his dying wish of making sure Rachel gets to the top of the tower. And Rachel's like, yes.
Good.
Yeah. All of episode 13, I was like, I thought I fucking understood this anime, but she was playing 7D chess, and I was like, well,
I cannot wait for this like revenge arc. Have you guys seen the second Planet of the Apes movie, like the newer ones?
I haven't seen a
Apes
single
together
one.
strong. Apes together strong.
Apes together strong. No, it's one of the apes betrays Caesar, and he literally has a fall scene and then like comes back, and it's
really good.
I always love the comeback story. It's like, oh, like you didn't see it happening, and then he's gonna probably like climb it in some like interesting way, and like there's gonna be this big like moment where like the other team that gets Rachel there realizes that she just like fucking sentenced him to death, basically. Oh,
Yep.
it was good. I didn't see it coming. I thought that she was staying separate from him to like protect him, and then he got, what is it? Running. What's the what you say?
Jason Derulo?
What's that song?
It's actually called What You Say. I'm not joking.
Is that actually? What's
100%,
what's the band called?
Jason Derulo.
No.
Jason Derulo does the song.
What?
Oh,
No.
he
The band
samples
is
that
called-
song to.
Oh, hang on. Hide and Seek.
That's the name of
Hide
the
and
band.
Seek. Imogen Heap,
I fucking love Imogen
I
Heap.
think.
It's Imogen Heap.
Okay.
This is blowing me away. But anyways, that is exactly what I saw when we got pushed, and it's like, ooh, what you say?
Yeah.
And something that we learned about, obviously Rachel's a bitch. She betrayed her Bomb, whatever. But I think you can notice it throughout the entire series. And what's really interesting is that even though Bomb got betrayed, and then he goes through his like montage training arc and gets a bunch of hair at the very end. Throughout the entire series, it's really interesting. In episode 11, during the underwater hunt part 1, I think Rachel says, like, they're both looking at the fish or whatever. And then when Rachel says, oh, it's beautiful, and she's looking at the fish because it's like reminiscent of the stars, and she's staring at the fish, Bomb is actually just looking straight at her. So it's just like, damn, that's like a parallel between the way the two of them think of each other. Like, Rachel places her dreams above Bomb, while Bomb does the exact reverse. So I think that was nice. And then even when he gets betrayed, he's like, I'm not really mad at her. I just want to know why she did it. So
That's a good boy.
yeah, that's some good boy vibes right there. But
I think there's going to be like 40 episodes, and at the end of that, they're all going to see Bomb at the top of the tower, and they're going to be like, how'd you get up there so fast? And he's going to be like, there was an elevator, assholes.
Speed run. I know clips. No clips right through the
parallel
wall.
universes ahead of you.
You gotta drop the feather from your inventory and back up towards this wall, do 2 hops, and you glitch right into the next level.
Yep.
I mean, if you jump above the screen,
No one
there's
ever
like
does it.
8 warp pipes. I don't know why y'all wasted your time.
Scrubs. Okay, so now that we've reached, before we do our wrap up, is there anything else that y'all want to mention, want to discuss, talk about, have clarification, or do we just?
I'm pretty sure pretending to be handicapped is a federal crime. So, like, Rachel, we're gonna get you.
We will.
Me and the law.
You will pay
are
your
gonna get
fines.
you.
That's fraud.
That's fraud.
And we will take away your parking.
Plaque.
Yeah, your parking sticker. It was a temporary sticker, and so you can't just keep using it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
You can
So
put that fake cast on all you want. It's not going to work.
you ain't fooling me. So as always, we reached the end of the show. What did you like? Dislike? Would you rewatch it? Recommend to another person? And what would you rate it as? So for me, I mean, I've talked about it in detail at length enough, but I think the entire show from start to finish for me, maybe the first episode was a little slow, but I mean, other than that, it was incredible. I think the story, the character development, the setting, the music, I think everything about the show was really well done. I talk to Malcolm and Jake about this every now and then, but when we watch shows for the podcast, there's some shows where I'm like, fuck, all right, let me just burn through it really quick.
All right, fine.
I'm like, all
Not
right,
bad,
fine.
but
Let's just watch
not-
this
yeah.
shit. And I watch it, and I'm like, oh my god, how many more episodes do I have? But with this one, I was like genuinely excited to watch every single episode. I was like going out of my way to watch it. Like I'd get back home from work, and I was like, all right, let's watch this shit. It was so exciting to have that feeling again after being numb for so many years, right?
Yeah.
I'm learning to feel again.
But basically getting to see everybody's like character development and the way they grow up as characters, especially Bomb, I think it was incredible. The way they did the review about Rachel and her story, I think it really highlights the fact that even if she goes off the deep end, and even though she has these like twisted emotions that we as the viewers are like, oh man, she's fucked up. You know, at the very end of the day, I think it highlights that she is like the least anime character in the cast, and that she's like the most human. Like she has her reasons for what she does. She, you know, is it messed up like how she portrayed Bomb, who was like a sweet little cinnamon roll, right? Is it fucked up? Yes, it is. But
He is my little Cinnabon cinnamon.
Right. But at the end of the day, it's like she had a dream, and she's Giorno Giovanni, and she has a dream, and
I'm not going to encourage that.
And you know, she does what she has to do in order to fulfill this dream, and I think it's very like human in a show. So I think it's nice, and I think her voice actress Sayori Hayami as Rachel was incredible. I think she did an amazing job. Kevin Penkin, who did the music in this show, incredible, like amazing stuff. I think the only thing that was maybe like a continuity error was, do y'all remember in the fight with the bull? There's like the fisherman who got eaten by the bull. Like he's one of the background characters. Like he's literally hanging out of the bull's like mouth. He's dead, but then he just magically shows up again after Bomb's death. Like in the scene where all of them are together, he's there. Yeah, if you go back,
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
Yeah,
Also the evil villain twist with like the little cloud, fucking hilarious. I love it was just like opened his mouth and just like horrors came out like
basically Madoka Magica right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was like the only thing was like a continuity error. I don't know if that was like crap, we forgot he died, but we added him back in. Blah blah blah. But yeah, I think getting to watch Bomb grow as a character from like completely innocent, blank slate, to still wanting answers, but like willing to go and climb the tower on his own. I think, and it's not for some grand reason. It's not just some like, oh, I want a super awesome wish, and this is the only way I can do it. But just because he wants to figure out like why Rachel did what she did to him, and figure out why she did all that. I think that was like really well done. Like I said, how they fleshed out so many characters, but like didn't make it so it didn't seem like any one of those main cast characters was like cut off from the scenes or whatever. I think that was crazy how they did that level of pacing in only 13 episodes. I think it was super well done. And I've doing some digging after reading some discussion forums on Reddit and online and stuff. Some people that have read the manhwa, because I haven't read it, but some people who have said there's differences between the two, and maybe the pacing wasn't all that there, and they preferred the manhwa over the anime. But I can't say that as I haven't read the original source material. But all I know is that I like really enjoyed this show. I think it was like really awesome to watch, and I seriously can't wait for to watch season 2 and further seasons from here on out. It's gonna be super hard for me not to want to read the manhwa. I'm one of those people, like when I finish a show, I like to like know everything about the franchise, dive into it and stuff.
Yeah.
I love Fate and Sword Art, but I'm gonna hold myself back. I'm gonna be like, no, just we'll hang out for a little bit. So I'll wait patiently. But for me, I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
Wowzers!
I
there
would
you go,
gladly
man.
watch this, and I would gladly recommend this show to another person.
Hell yeah. Well, I'll keep mine fast. Like Daniel said, I think watching this, there's a lot of shows that we've seen that it just drags me out, and I'm just like, I cannot get myself to go through this fast enough. With this show, I was genuinely excited to see where it went every episode. I felt like we actually learned more things every episode. They'll have these problems with a lot of shows where I feel like you like learn quite a bit in the first episode. It's like a killer pilot, and then it just flatlines until like episode 8 or 9, and then it shoots back up.
It. Yeah.
Yeah, or there's like these like long plateaus of like 4 or 5 episode arcs where you just get nothing.
Yeah.
With this show, I felt like there were some slower episodes, but there was always kind of a building, and you always learn a little bit more about either the characters or the environment or the kind of the rules of the tower. So I really like that. I felt like the characters were really well developed, and I love what you mentioned there. Like, one of the main characters, she is truly not a anime stereotype. Like, you think she's set up to be like the heroine that the hero goes after, and they're together, they're going to succeed and make their goals. And it's like, no, actually, you got duped. And then I don't know. I found it was a very human moment, though. Like, she has her reasons for wanting to climb the tower, and she feels that without Bam in the way, then she can go. So I really like that character development. I like the plot so far, and the world building is cool. I still want a geographical like understanding of how this works, but maybe we'll get explanations in season 2. So I would recommend this show to another person. I would watch it again. I'm going to probably try to speed run it before the second season comes out, just so I kind of have a better understanding where we're at. But I would rate it an 8.5 out of 10. There's some things that I think it was just a little slow to start, and the world building, like understanding the world, maybe the way they rolled it out. I think over 13 episodes, I would want a better understanding of how parts of the tower work, but nitpicky, really. 8.5 out of 10. We'll watch again. Really excited.
Okay, now it's my turn.
Shit on it.
Out of 10.
Well, unlike these two, I watched it week after week, kind of like the way you're supposed to watch anime. And I had to gruelingly sit through 13 weeks of fuck me, what's going to happen next? So, like, the hype of this show does not disappoint, as these two can vouch. And will I watch season 2? Abso-fucking-lutely. Will I do it week after week again? Yeah, I'm gonna suffer, but I'm gonna love it. I liked pretty much everything about this show. It was very captivating. The story doesn't leave much to be desired. I got everything I wanted. The only thing that I didn't like about this show is that when the two princesses of Jihad were fighting the cloud monster guy, one of them should have died, because they got their ass beat for like 3 straight episodes. And I was like, I want to cry because one of my favorite characters died. I want to cry because these people are going to die and someone needs to die in this show, but no one ever really died. So it was like, it's a personal thing. It was just too much pent up like emotion to where I'm attached to all these characters, and there were obvious moments where like, yeah, someone definitely could have died, but they didn't. And like everybody has plot armor, which I hope goes away in season 2, because I don't want it to be like, oh, look at us, we're 13 dudes and we're all made it up to the tower together. Ha ha ha.
Yay.
That's gonna be some bullshit. Yeah, I'm gonna drop this rating from my 9 out of 10 to like a 4 so fast. Would I rewatch it? Absolutely. Would I recommend it to another person? Absolutely. And like I said earlier, my final score is a 9 out of 10. Not the perfect anime, but once we get to season 2 and ongoing, I'm sure it's going to go up, just like how I feel about Haikyuu.
Mm-hmm.
To the top.
There you go.
It comes out.
The series finale, he's going to wake up and it was all a dream.
It was all just a simulation.
I had
and he has to do it all over again.
Like, when you were talking about, like, this moral dilemma thing about climbing the tower and how the rankers were, how they got to where they were, I was going to be like, watch this be a 300-episode anime, and it's just going to end with a prisoner's dilemma. It's just going to be Bam and Kun. It's like, one of you can make it, but you got to kill the other person. So, figure it out.
And then the way they solve it is Kun sits down and does a little calculation sheet, and he's like, look, this is the most ideal strategy. We're not going to go for it. And that's what they want us to think. They're going to do like a Death Note 5D chess.
Kill him.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Cool.
So, yeah. Tower of God, highly rated by the 3 of us. So, yeah, go check it out if you haven't. I mean, but if you watched the episode, then that's weird. But, yeah. So, highly recommend it. Recommend it to your friends. Good stuff. With that, we would like to thank Jugin Crude for the use of his music in our podcast. The intro is Dreams and the outro is Lowrider. Links to his contact info will be in our show notes. If you enjoyed listening to us, please make sure to rate us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website, weebthepeople.com. Make sure to follow our Twitter handle at weeb_the_people, Facebook page, We the People, and Anime Podcast. And finally, our Instagram, Weeb the People Podcast. And if you have any questions, either DM us on any of those social medias or email us at weebthepeoplepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening. Once again, I am your host that doesn't blow the locked camera because that's fucking ludicrous, Daniel.
Is The Dark Knight Rises the one where the dudes are on the boat and they have to decide to blow the other one up?
That is the prisoner's dilemma.
Yeah! He's Malcolm. Okay.
And I'm Hank Hill. You go check out this manhwa. It's real good.
Propane accessories. This has been Weeb the People, and have a great evening.
Dang it, Bobby.